Hi, thanks for tuning in. Okay, this week we're going to talk about how self-esteem is earned, not learned. It's something that the reason it's called self-esteem is because this is something that we do for ourselves. It's earned, it's something that happens only from hard work. It's not like one day just magically things happen and you gain esteem. It just does not happen like that. I wish there was an easier way that I could tell you how to do it. But unfortunately, in order to raise self-esteem, it's important to do the work and to put out some effort to make it happen. It's not just going to magically appear. You wake up one day and boom, all of a sudden your self-esteem raises. It just does not happen that way. And it can take weeks, months, years in order to make a significant difference, or it can take a matter of just days and weeks. It really depends, again, on how much energy you want to put into this. Hello, and welcome to Becoming Your Own Best Friend, a show about self-esteem, with your host, Randy Haveson. Now, I know that when people have told me that when they put things into practice that they learn in my book, that they tend to find little bumps in self-esteem pretty much immediately. And that's the goal, because it's like when you start a new workout routine. At the beginning, you go to the gym and it's hard and you're sore and you work and you strain and it's difficult and you don't want to do it and everything in your brain screams, stop, don't do this anymore. Just go home, have a donut and just chill. So everything in our brain is going to fight against doing that extra work in order to feel better. But what happens after you do go to the gym a few times and you work out and you're consistent about it and you're working hard and you're sore and you don't want to do it and the next day you wake up, it's like, oh, I really don't want to go, but you go anyway and you feel better about yourself for doing it. Then all of a sudden you're brushing your teeth one morning and you go, ooh, wow, what's that? And you start to see a difference. Or you start to notice that when you walk upstairs, you don't breathe as hard as you used to. Or you notice that after your workout, your body recovers quicker than it did when you first started working out. So these are the results that you get that keep you going back for more. Like I know when I started going to 9 Round, which is my workout of choice, I love this place. And it's the only thing that I found that really has worked for me. And I remember the first time I went in, and it's 9 rounds, and I think my first workout I did 3.5 rounds, barely. And I was huffing and puffing, and I was just so tired when I did it. And I went back the next time, and I did it again, and I signed up, and I did a year contract because I know if I sign up for a year, I'm going to be more committed. And I really liked that they had no class times because I don't like being late for things. And if I was running a little behind, I knew that in 9 Round, I didn't have to worry about that. So I went in and I started working, and all of a sudden I'm doing 9 rounds, but not fully. And I have to take breaks, and then I go get some water and I just kind of walk around a little bit. And it took probably, 4 or 5 months before I could really do all 9 rounds without taking a break. And it took a while. And now here we are 2 years later, and I can walk up a flight of stairs without huffing and puffing, and I can even carry boxes up and down stairs without huffing and puffing. I feel healthier than I've ever felt in my whole life. I wear a heart rate monitor when I work out, and I notice that I go from the yellow or the green down to the blue really quickly, so my body recovers a lot quicker than I used to. Some of the exterior things that have happened, I've lost 20 pounds. I've lost 4 inches in my waist. So I'm noticing a lot of differences outside and in when it comes to what happens because I put in the work. Now, this happened the same way when I started working on my self-esteem. Now, I didn't have a plan like I've laid out for you. I had to kind of develop this from scratch. And the thing is, I will never ask another person to do something that I myself haven't done or wouldn't be willing to do myself. So that's one of the promises that I made, because for me, integrity is real important. And for me, integrity is walking my walk and not just talking my talk. So if I ask you to do something or I put something in my book, it's something that I'm currently doing or I have done in the past. So these things work. And again, for some of you know my story. For others of you who don't and you're just tuning in, I was at a point where I had zero self-esteem. I was sitting in my bedroom with a knife on my hand, debating which wrist to slice open first. I was done. I couldn't live this way any longer. It's like the choices that I was making were putting me in this corner where I felt like I had no way out except to end my life. And I realize now that that was desperation and that was my bottom. And that's when I finally reached out for help and got the help and support that I needed in order to start this journey back. So when I look at where I was back in May of 1984, and I look at where I am today in almost 2020, it's pretty amazing to see these differences and how my confidence has grown and my cockiness has decreased, how my humility has grown, but my humiliation has decreased. So many changes in my life. Doing this, there was no way I could do something like this. Or be a professional speaker. It's like, what, are you kidding? Or being a life coach and helping other people with difficulties in their life. I was, the only person that I could coach before was myself, and I did a really lousy job. So it took a long time for me to unlearn a lot of the behaviors and thoughts that I had in the past in order to start on this new journey. And I feel very grateful that I had some people that were brought into my path, like Charlie and Phil, and some other folks, Frank, who kind of showed me that there was a different way to live and showed me how to get myself back. And I started realizing this difference between ego and self-esteem, and how my whole life was about ego and looking good to everybody else, but on the inside I was dying. And I slowly worked my way up and realized that when I did positive things for myself, I felt positive about myself. When I got back into school and I started getting A's and B's instead of D's and F's, I felt like, wow, maybe I can do this. Maybe there is a future out there for me. And I watched other people and their successes, and I thought, wow, how did that person get there? And I would talk to them and I'd say, tell me what you did. Tell me what's going on. I remember, years ago, I joined the National Speakers Association, and there was a man in the organization named Mark LeBlanc, and everybody looked up to Mark. I mean, he was such a generous man, just an amazing human being, but a wealth of information as a speaker. And he said one time in one of his presentations, hey, if you ever want to get together and learn some tips, anyone out here in the audience, feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email. And I thought, okay. So I got back home after the convention and I found his email address, and I sent him an email and I said, hey, Mark, this is Randy. I was at your presentation and you said if I wanted to reach out and go to coffee one day to do that. So when are you available to go to coffee? And we set a day and a time and a place, and we went, and there he was sitting at the table. And I was like, hi, Mark, I'm Randy. He said, wow, you know what? I want you to know that took a lot of courage to do what you did. I'm like, well, what did I do? He said, most people wouldn't just call me like you called me or send me an email. But I think it's really cool that you were able to do that. And what I know now, it's because I had self-esteem. Ego is about putting people at different levels. Oh, you're better than me. You're worse than me. You're here. I'm there. Self-esteem is about we're all equal. We all have something to offer everybody else. So it's not that anyone's better or worse than anybody else. We're all different. We all have our own unique gifts. And I didn't look at him as someone to be intimidated by. I don't get intimidated by people because I feel like we all have something to offer each other. And I said to him, well, when you made that offer, I just wanted to take you up on it. And I'd love to talk to you about, how I can help grow my business. And he gave me some tips that were invaluable. And I just watched my speaking career take off. It was awesome. And I love doing it. And I love getting on stage and motivating people and helping them to look at life in a little bit different way in order to make changes to be happier and healthier with the way that you live your day-to-day life. So what we talk about here, it takes a long time to get there. I never would have had the confidence to get on stage back in the early 20s when I was really struggling with who I was and where I fit in the world. And today I can do that because I've worked on my self-esteem. And I've worked on myself physically and mentally and emotionally and spiritually. And by doing all four of those things, I now feel better about myself. And I got rid of a lot of those obstacles that got in the way of my success. And I got to tell you, if I can do it, you can do it. There's nothing special that I've done. There's nothing, oh, well, Randy found the magic well and he's drinking from it. No, there's no magic well. Any of you watching this or listening to this can do this too. I went from getting kicked out of college twice and fired from a job delivering pizza. Back at my bottom when I was at my heaviest in my addiction, and when I finally hit bottom and cleaned up, I was down to 134 pounds, 5'9", 134 pounds. And that's when I was ready to die. I saw no way out. And it was through the love and the support of the people around me that I found my way back. And if I can go from where I was to where I am, you can go anywhere you want in your life as long as you stay out of your own way. And that's my main message. In every presentation that I do, whether it's an alcohol education talk, whether it's a self-esteem talk, a values-based talk, whatever I do, it always comes back to, you can do anything you want with your life as long as you stay out of your own way. And a key part of that is that we are all a product of the choices we make. And if you don't like what you're getting in life, then change what you're doing. If you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. I love that saying. I heard that a long time ago from one of my supervisors. And it really made sense. And I put that into practice today. If you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. And I know today, if I keep in touch with my physical self, my spiritual self, my emotional self, my mental self, if I'm still of service to others and kind to people, then these amazing things continue to happen in my life. And I'm so grateful. And, a lot of people have said to me recently, hey, it's the new year. Are you going to set some resolutions for yourself? Do you have any goals for the next year? And my answer is no. I'm not a believer, and this is me personally. If it works for you, go for it. But I'm not a believer in New Year's resolutions. I'm going to lose 20 pounds and I'm going to read more and I'm going to go to church more, temple more, mosque, whatever it is. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And people tend to set themselves up so high that if one little thing goes wrong, the whole thing crumbles. So New Year's resolutions seem to be great the first couple weeks of January, and then all of a sudden they just kind of fizzle out. So I'm not a believer in that. I'm a believer, if you want to make a change in your life, do it now. Don't wait until January 1st. Don't wait until your birthday or Monday or whatever you're setting for yourself. Do it now. And if you do it now you get to start. A beautiful saying that I found, actually, no, I didn't find it. Laura found it. My ghostwriter, when we were working on the book, she found this one quote. It's a Japanese proverb that says, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So don't wait until Monday. Don't wait until January 1st or your birthday or whatever you want to set up. If you want to make changes and do things different in your life, do it now. And do your best not to set yourself up with a whole plethora of different things that you're going to be doing to make changes in your life. Start with little baby steps. Crawl before you walk before you run. And you're going to find that you're going to be more successful. So there are a lot of ways to raise self-esteem and feel better about who you are. And the more you work at it, the harder you work at it, the more you gain, the better you feel and the more confidence you have in order to do more. And it's all out there for you. It's all possible. If you could see this view that I have from my window now, it's absolutely gorgeous. I get to look out at Lake Hancock in Winter Garden, Florida. And I have, there are two houses that are lake houses in front of me. But if I look just right in between them, the way they built these houses right in between, right out this window, I get a view of the lake. And it's absolutely gorgeous. Who would have thought back when I was getting kicked out of college, fired from my job delivering pizza, sitting there with a knife in my hand, that today I would get to be here with this kind of unbelievable beauty in my life. So again, anything is possible as long as you get out of your own way. So what we talked about today is not doing resolutions, but making little changes in your life. We talked about it takes practice to build self-esteem, just like someone practices piano, just like someone practices tennis, just like someone practices running. It's not like you can just wake up one day and run a marathon. If you've never run before, the first thing you might want to do is just walk around the block. Do that a couple times. Do that a few times a week. And then after a while, maybe you jog a little bit, run a little bit. But we're not going to start by running a marathon. We're going to hurt ourselves if we do that. So all of these things, building self-esteem, it takes practice, it takes patience, it takes being gentle with yourself. Again, another thing I talk about a lot, treating yourself like your own best friend rather than your own worst enemy. If your best friend said, hey, I'm going to start a running program, but first I'm going to walk around the block a couple times. What would you say? No, what are you talking about? Just walking? Oh my God, like you can't even run a mile? What's wrong with you? Right? Would you say that to your best friend? Of course not. But what you'd say to your best friend is, hey, good for you. Go walk a couple of, see how that is. Call me when you're done. I'd love to hear how it went. And then after a few weeks, hey, I was able to run half of the way around the block and I walked the other half. And you'd say to your best friend, wow, good for you. That's really awesome. You wouldn't say, what? You can only run half? Oh my God, don't even bother doing that anymore. No, we wouldn't say that. So now is the time to treat yourself like your own best friend rather than your own worst enemy. And by practicing these things on a regular basis, you are going to feel better about who you are and where you fit in the world. And it's funny because the people that I work with in coaching, it's funny when this happens. And I say to them that this is probably going to happen. You're going to start building your self-esteem and do these little things that we talk about. And people are going to look at you and go, did you change your hair? Is that a new shirt? There's something different about you. Is there new makeup? Is there new, what did you do? They can't put their finger on it, but something's different. And what it is maybe you're sitting a little taller, or maybe your shoulders are back. Maybe you have a more of a look of confidence in your eye. Things will start to happen once you start building self-esteem. And it's really sad for me when I see people sometimes who I can see how powerful they actually are. They're superheroes, but yet they doubt themselves and they lack the self-confidence to see who they really are inside. And it's hard to watch, but I know that I am not able to fix anybody that's not willing to do the work themselves. Again, self-esteem is earned, it's not learned. It's not like you can read in a book and get this down and then just, it magically happens. You can read the book, put the things into practice that you learn in the book. That's how you earn your self-esteem. But it's not like you're just going to read it and it's going to be there. It does not happen that way. So, there's this story that I heard a long time ago. Actually, it's a joke, but I think it's a beautiful story that illustrates this point. There was a man who went to, let's just say church, temple, mosque, whatever. He went to his place of worship. And he's an old man, and he sat there and he said, God, I have been so faithful to you my whole life. I've never asked you for a thing. I've been of service to others. I've done wonderful things for other people. I just want one thing from you. That's all I ask is one thing. I want to win the lottery. That's all I want. After everything I've done for you my whole life, all I want to do is win the lottery. Hope you can do that for me. And then he leaves. And the next week he comes back. What? I didn't win the lottery. God, I ask you for one thing. One thing my whole life. All my life I've devoted to you. And I ask one thing and I don't get it? Well, I hope I get it this week. And he leaves. And he comes back the next week. What is going on here? I've devoted my life to you. All I ask is one thing, to win the lottery, and you won't do that for me? And all of a sudden a voice booms from the heavens. Well, at least go buy a ticket. It's amazing how we magically want these things to happen for us, but we have to go and do the footwork. So self-esteem is like that. So do your footwork. Be amazed by what it is that you're able to accomplish. Great things will happen for you if you just get out of your own way and learn how to become your own best friend. So I wish you well as you go from here. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you. Feel free to subscribe if you'd like to. And hopefully we will see you or hear from you again. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. My email address is randy@randyspeaks.com. I love getting emails from people, feedback about what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of. Feel free to give me whatever feedback you want. And thank you again, and you take care. We'll see you later. Bye. Thanks for checking out the video. I hope you got something out of this. Feel free to click subscribe, ring the bell if you haven't already, and if you'd like more, you can click right here. All right, I hope to see you again. Take care, and if you have any questions at all, feel free to write to me, and I'm happy to answer them. Have a good one. Bye.